Hi guys, it's Sophie. So today I wanted to have a chat with you about some of my favourite quotes. Obviously we talk about books a lot, but I don't sort of quote books all that much, and often they're the things that stick in my head, so I thought it'd be interesting to share with you. Before I do that though, I want to show you this thing that I've been making, because it's kind of epic. It's going to be like a quilt, eventually, when it gets big enough, but I'm knitting them and it's warm, so it's sitting on my lap for the time being. Okay, so these quotes are going to be things that have sort of shaped the way that I live my life or have shown sort of new light on things in my life. And I think they're really important to me and really special to me, and I kind of can't believe I haven't spoken about them before. The first one is going to be from a book I read quite recently, and it's one that's made me think. So it's from The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and in this, one of the main characters, the professor, says it's better to know one book intimately than 1,000 superficially. And for me, that just sort of stopped me when I was reading it, because I don't think I know my books all that intimately. I think there are some books that I know back to front, you know, inside out, and do love them, but I think I read books superficially. I think that I do read them for the story, have a little bit of a think about them afterwards and move on, that I don't tend to delve into them so much, that I don't go looking at sort of textual references. And it just really sort of stuck with me, because I do know what the sort of character means, that you gain so much more from a book that you understand on that deeper sense. But I also don't think I'll be able to do that with all of the books I read, and I love the stories. So it was just sort of a bit of a conundrum for me. It made me think a little bit more about what I was doing when I was reading. Sometimes I read books and sort of underline parts and note up bits that I particularly like or don't like, and I do find that I enjoy those more. So it might be a case of, you know, if I'm having a book that I think, you know, might need a little bit more digging into, then I will annotate in future. But I just thought that was quite an interesting thing to pick up from this book. And the next one is from a short play, and I've really never heard anyone talk about this, but it is one of the most important sort of pieces of work in my life, and it is 448 Psychosis by Kane. So this is a short book about a woman who is sort of insane, that she's gone into hospital, she's going through lots of things all at once, and it's told in a very strange, really interesting way. When I was unwell, this book meant an awful lot to me, and I sort of did carry around a lot of the quotes from this book, but there's one in particular that I really like, and it's "I feel your pain, but I cannot hold your life in my hands." And that one just completely struck me, and it's sort of the way that I felt other people were interacting with me, that yeah, I understand that you're hurting, I understand that you need me around, but I can't be the person who looks after you entirely. And in terms of my recovery and my way of thinking about things, it really affected me. If you do have mental health issues and you're not afraid to sort of read what it's like inside someone's head, then pick up this play, because it's one of the best descriptions of mental illness that I found yet. And the next quote is from a poet called Andrea Gibson, who's a spoken word poet who is absolutely one of my favourite poets that I've ever found. If I like someone in my life, sort of if I'm friends with them, or if I think they're sort of worth holding on to, I let them listen to Andrea Gibson. I keep it for people that I really like, so guys, feel special that I'm letting you have some Andrea Gibson if you haven't heard of her already. But this is her collection, Pole Dancing to Gospel Hymns. I love loads of her poems, and there are so many quotes that are in my head from this. The poem Blue Blanket's in here, so if you maybe you've seen that one, I think that's the most well-known one. This is the collection that comes from. But the one that I want to talk to you about today is the one that's called Say Yes in this one. The whole thing is gorgeous, it's on YouTube, so I'll leave a link down below. She'll read it much better than I will ever be able to, but I'll just read you the little stanza that's so important to me. "This is for the man who showed me the hardest thing about having nothing is having nothing to give. He said the only reason to live is to give ourselves away. So this is for the day we quit our jobs and work for something real. We'll feel the sunshine in the shadows and look for sun rays in the shades. This is for the people who rattled the cage that slave wage built. For the ones who didn't know the filth until tonight, but right now are beginning songs that sound something like people turning their porch lights on and calling the homeless back home." But yeah, so this collection is absolutely stunning. If you've never heard her read any of her poems, if you've never heard of her before, please check her out. She's my favourite poet of all time, and this collection in particular has some of her best poems in my opinion, so please check it out, please. So the next couple are from this book. It's Special Topics in Calamity Physics by Marissa Pessl. So there are a number of quotes in here that really did sort of stick with me, and that's why it was my favourite book of the year in 2015. But I just want to talk about a couple of them today, and the first one is about love. The main character says to her father that she thinks she's in love with this boy, and he sort of dismisses her and tells her that you don't know you're in love with someone until you brush your teeth next to them 300 times. And I really like that. It just sort of immediately went into my head, and I was like, yes, that's the thing I'm going to promise myself, that I might say, you know, I love you, but it's not proper love until that point. Like, I completely understand what he's talking about. That love is something that develops, that it deepens as you understand and know the person, and really how can you think you love someone if you don't even know them all that well. And it just sort of slows her down in the book and makes her take stock a little bit, and it was quite an important moment for me reading it. I just really enjoyed it, so that was one of the two that did stick with me in particular. And the other one I'm going to read out to you because it's a bit longer, but it's about home and about what home means to people. As far as one journeys, as much as a man sees, from the turrets of the Taj Mahal to the Siberian wilds, he may eventually come to an unfortunate conclusion, usually while he's lying in bed, staring at the thatched ceiling of some substandard accommodation in Indonesia, writes Swithin in his last book, posthumously published, Whereabouts, 1917. It is impossible to rid himself of the relentless, cloying fever, commonly known as home. After 73 years of anguish I have found a cure, however. You must go home again. Grit your teeth, however arduous the exercise, determine without embellishment the exact coordinates of home, your longitudes and your latitudes. Only then will you stop looking back and see the spectacular view in front of you. So I just thought that was really nice. I think it's a really nice way of describing our relationship with home and with our past. I think I agree again that sometimes you need to just realise, well, what is it that I'm missing, understand it as it is today before you will start moving forward. I think that is important. And again, it's one of those things where it's a turning point of the book and a turning point in what happens, and I really like the idea that there are these sort of pivotal quotes, pivotal thoughts that then change how the characters respond. So those were lovely. There are a dozen others I could have picked out from that book for you, but I think those two are my favourites. And then the last quote I have for you is one from a book I don't own. It's from Lady Chatterley's Lover by D.H. Lawrence, and it's probably my favourite quote, despite having never read the book. But I think it stands on its own, and one day I will get around to reading the book and seeing how it plays into everything. But the quote is, "We've got to live no matter how many skies have fallen," and I just think it's beautiful and lovely, and it's one of those quotes that I will use to give myself strength and to make myself happier on days when I'm not. The idea that no matter what's going on, you know, the most terrible things, the sky is literally falling, like, you know, Chicken Little style, like everything is going away. We've still got to get on and do stuff. We've still got to make sure that we're looking after ourselves. I understand it's in the context of a bombing, and again that sort of adds for it a little bit to me. The idea that they could have that sort of tenacity and stick to it when the whole world is falling apart, and yeah, it's one of those special quotes to me, personally. So I think it is interesting to talk about quotes and to talk about quotes that people carry with them, because you're never going to remember an entire book by heart. That's the reality. You might love a book, but maybe you love a feeling the book gave you, or maybe you love a certain character in the book, or maybe you love a quote. So if you're like me and the quotes tend to be what stick in your head, then feel free to share some down below and we can chat about them there. Alright, thank you ever so much for watching. Bye bye.